Dun, 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 dun. Hello, friends. It's Friday night, and is anybody here yet? I hope so. I hope I'm going to get some people Friday night. Usually, everybody wants to go out with their girlfriends, their wife, but I chose Monday, Wednesday, and Friday to do my podcast chat because those were the three special days for me when I ran my gambling, and those was a good nights. It was never this early; it was always a late. You know, most of the time after 10 o'clock. The gambling in underground gambling used to start, but people never really showed up until midnight, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, whatever they had to do. Hanging out with the wives or the girlfriends, and then they would come by to hang out with the guys. So that's the way it was back then. And let me say hello. Hey, Johnny Catalano. How you doing? Asa Benedico to you too. You're the first. And we have some other people that we don't know that didn't make the presence know. Maybe there's some haters here. I don't know. But they want to find out the story, what I'm going to talk about tonight. Tonight, I'm going to talk about how I was involved, with Rastellis. I got to say hello. Mickey Bats. Hello. Are you out of the shower yet? Hello, Mickey Bats. Come out of the shower. Hello, Carmela. How you doing? It's Friday night, and you're here. That's good. Uh, Nice Friday. Yes, it's been a good Friday so far. Beautiful day today in Florida. Right, Carmela? We had a nice weather. We've been having rain, which is good for the plants and the flowers and everything. Everything is starting to bloom. We got El Gato in. Salute. Same to you, Gato 9. Like Catalano. Carmela saying hello. Okay. Good evening from New Jersey. Yeah, New Jersey. I used to go to Atlantic City. Is that considered Atlantic City and North New Jersey? I never knew. Was it North New Jersey or South New Jersey? Atlantic City. That was my playground that I used to go since I think the resort was the first one that opened. The resort opened, I think, in the late 80s. I think it was late 79 or late 80s. First one. Resort International. That was the first casino. Am I correct? Tommy Stings. Am I correct? Is that considered North Jersey or uh, South Jersey? Okay, so now we have, okay, everybody saying hello. Anyway, I'm going to begin. In 1974, I was 21 years old. I already made my connection with the Genovese, Fritz Giovanelli. I bought myself a lunch wagon, after having a pizzeria. And I became very acquainted with Rastellis. So I got really close to Mari Rastelli. Mari Rastelli was the older brother of Rusty Rastelli. So he did a lot of, running around for his brother, collecting money, giving out messages from prison. So I became like his chauffeur, I guess, his sidekick, bodyguard in a way, because sometimes, I carry too, I had a carry. And sometimes I used to be alone with him. Sometimes I used to have a friend. This guy Tommy DeFeo. But he didn't use Tommy DeFeo that much. Tommy DeFeo was a little bit cautious because he knew what was going on at the time. The Galante had the rivalry against Rusty Rastelli when he came home. So I'm going to begin the story how things the conflict between Rusty Rastelli and Carmine Galante started. Rusty was the real anointed one to be in charge of the family. So they were both in prison at the time. Rusty came out, I think, in 1973. He was out for a while. Then in 1974, that's how I got acquaintance with him. And he seen how close I was with his brothers. So he got to like me. I did a service for Rusty too, while he was out. He was stranded one time. He needed a driver. I volunteered to drive for him. He didn't want me to get involved because the conflict that was going on with the Carmine Galante. I just told him that I wanted to help. And you see, I didn't want to take no for an answer. I did it because Marty was still encouraged me to do it. So I did it. So we became friends, and he liked the idea that I was going to be close to Marty Rastelli, running around with Marty, and now there was the fiction. Carmine Galante wanted to take over, so he started to bump some people off. The first thing he did, if I remember right, he blew up the doors. He didn't do it himself. He had somebody blowing up the doors of Frankie Costello mausoleum, what was it, cemetery, to make his presence known, his back in town. And for what reason, I don't know. If he did it, who the fuck knows? But that's what the story came out later on. I don't know. Um, so there's always stories that they fabricated from the journalism, from people, informers, just to get a handouts from the feds, giving them money, give them a pass. There was all this shit going on. I don't know. I was young. I was inexperienced, but I just knew that I wanted to be with the top guys. So being around Marty Rastelli, I would go to, Greenpoint, Graham Avenue, meet up with Sonny Black Napoletano because he was number one in Rusty Rastelli's eyes. And, he owned the Motion Lounge. Not far from there was Sonny uh, Sonny Red in Delicato that he had a place too. But I believe they called him Little Jojo. Little Jojo. Alphonse in Delicato, they didn't call him Red, in Delicato. They call him Little Jojo. That was his little nickname. Sonny Black, Napoletano, they called him because he dyed his hair black. But Sonny Red was Little Jojo. He was a little guy, tough guy, real tough, and he was a top captain too in his own rights. And I don't know what was going on, but I should go there with Marty Rastelli, to see little Jojo and Delicato. Oh, so in this place of business, so everything looked up and up to me. I don't know, as the years go by, there was a friction, with let's call him Sonny Red, because everybody knows Sonny Red and Delicato, that he was looking to, move in and wanted to get close with Carmine Galante because Carmine Galante had the heroin. So, and Rusty didn't want a part of it because he wasn't into that. Rusty was more into, he owned, at the time, he owned the unions. He had his own line of trucks that it was his business. And he was doing good. The only thing he wanted to, he was in prison, so he had no control with Sicilians, you know, from back home in Sicily. So Galante didn't have anything. Galante, the only thing he knew was being a hoodlum, so a street guy. So he wanted to, you know, take the reins with the heroin, with the guys from Sicily, Badalamenti, Tortorena, they were, from Palermo. So and he had, already the roots, with Vito Genovese in the 30s, 40s, he did heroin. So he was good at that. He was good at that. So that's all anybody knew how to do. So anyway, supposedly he wanted to make himself known. Is in town, and he's not gonna take nobody's shit. And he blew Frank Costello mausoleum, they call it. What he's buried, the doors, and that's how the friction started. And right away, he was telling people that whoever was loyal to Carmine, Rastelli, to come on his side, or else, the life is in danger. And that's when Joe Messino, we talked, and he told me that, he's got to make a move now. He was loyal to Rossi Rastelli. Rossi Rastelli helped him get the JJ Daly, give him the business, and he wanted to go on the side of Camagalenti, which he did. So he was close to them. And then, that's how it happened. So now Joe Messino wanted me to stay away from Marty. I called them, they used to call him Mavi Bovalone. They used to have a nickname for Marty too, that it was Johnny Gringo. Like Frank Sinatra had a brother in a movie in the West, Western movie that was made, that Frank Sinatra played the part, the brother of the gunslinger. So he went by always under his brother's umbrella, that like acting like a big shot, but because Marty was a skinny guy, he was a very, you know, he was a killer. He was a guy's brother, Rusty Roselli had two elder brothers. One was Carmine, one was Lou, and Marty. And Rusty made the four. So there were four brothers, and I think there was two sisters. So because I got close to the whole family, every time they had an event, I was there, and parties, I would be sitting with the family, next to the captains, the main guys. Sonny Black, and Joe Mancino will also be invited, and he would sit out with the guys. Just the guys would show up, not with their wives, because it was a thing they used to use that to get the guys, members, uh, to come give envelopes. It was always to collect money. So I got a lot of people saying hello to me. Right now I don't want to stop talking. So I want to continue. So anyway, with Marty, I did a lot of errands for him. So I was going to a lot of captains, because not everybody, all the captains hang out together. They had their own base. Who was in Staten Island, who was in Brooklyn, who was in Long Island too, Nassau County, not deep out on the island. So they had places, bars. So so I would make my rounds with it. And Marty was so skinny that when most of the time it was he would wear a big coat, like a heavy coat, and a lot of pockets, where he gets his envelopes. So that's how close I was. I was with Marty, and then I was always be at his house, and people would come also to his house, and there I made Don Pietro Licata. He was very. He acted like a don, in Nicapacare Avenue. That was his territory, and he goes back with Joe Bonanno, and he was under Rossi Rostelli, but he was a big capo, captain, anyway, and he would talk Sicilian to me, and he would tell me, this is the home of the house of. He would say it in Sicilian, which is sound a lot better. It was like questa casa del rispetto, chi sta a casa un padrino, and I would like listen, and he would talk to me because we were near the town, so Carini with his town. He was, from Palermo too. So he would try and mention names, that he knew these people from Carini. And I used to, shake my head. He says, yeah, I used to be friends with the son, the nephew, you know, because I was in the piazza in Carini. So with that alone, he gave me a connection. And Marty will be listening because Marty was not Sicilian; he's American, uh, Neapolitan, and he liked what he was seeing. So a few times I happened to bump into him. I met a lot of old timers, that were part of the Bonanno, under Rossi Vastelli. But there was this few were coming Lilo Galante. So Carmine Galante, it could have took Rusty Vastelli out, but he didn't get a chance because Rusty was in prison. So Rusty had to buy, how do you say, bullets, because some of his people were getting knocked off, were getting killed. And he could do nothing about it because Rusty was not a pushover either. He was an enforcer in the Bonanno crime family under, Joe Bonanno. Well, Bill Bonanno, he was a tough guy. Not a lot of people know the things he did. Plus, he was alliance with Carmine Pestrico, Sonny Francese. He had a lot of Neil Della Croce. So That's why he was able to sustain the attacks from Carmine Galante because the only thing Carmine Galante had was the people that wanted to deal the heroin. People from Sicily. He didn't have too much. Uh, how do you say power with the commission? Because each guy had their own people anyway. Gambino, I'm sure, had his own people, dealing the stuff. So, and also the Genovese, everybody at that time in the 70s, they had how do you say, a buffer doing their things for them because there was a lot of things, being talked about how much money's involved with the heroin. Now, I didn't see anybody, really doing heroin, in the social clubs or in the discotheques or in the the lounges. I didn't see. So where's this heroin was going? I guess they were going in the bad neighborhoods, like Harlem, uh, um, Spanish Harlem, so all these drugs were being shipped out to the ghettos. Was it not doing, and probably maybe some people got involved in doing the shooting, themselves. So anyway, there's a lot of people saying hello. I would like to say hello, but I got to continue telling my story. So anyway, with the with Mario Rastelli, I was making a lot of rounds all over the place, and Joe Messino didn't like it, and he's seen I was friends now. I made with his own best friend to the Carmine Francese because he asked me, he asked permission to Joe if he could use me for something he needed to do for the family, for Carmine Persico, because there were lines. John Messina and Tori Carmine Tori Francese were like in big business. Tori, the wise guys always want to connect with somebody that they could trust and do business, make money. And there's a lot of guys like that had the best from a different family, to protect their business. That's why I think Sonny Francese and Rusty Rostelli had a boundary because they both came from Greenpoint. They grew up in the same neighborhoods. They went different direction, but the family always it didn't stop somebody from earning money, making money within the families because you needed to do that. You need to socialize with people and make money. That's why the commission, right? They fight people in the commission. They work together. They had a very interest in things to make money. So that's what they were in for, right? But the commission wanted to control the the captains, the people in the family. Only any beef arose, you know, they would they would have to bring it to the commission to fix the problem. Same thing, a captain with his crew. If he's got you know 10 members under him, say make guys or eight make guys, or six make guys, depends. Some captain may have more guys because he could do it. He's got more spread out. He's got more business. But then you got the little guys that may have 4 or 5 guys under him, you know. So to make your bones, it takes, you say, you need to make money to give it to the boss. Um, so that's how it worked. So I was very close to Marty. So Marty was the buffer for his brother, going places, picking up money. The close people to the family came to the house and bring the whatever they had to bring it to his house. So I got to meet all these guys. So let me say hello. I gotta say hello. And by the way, let's push like and if you didn't subscribe here, if we have new people, subscribe, make comment what I'm talking about. If it sounds believable or it's all this, I'm making it up because we got haters in this show right now. They watch it, they listen. I know they are. Okay, so we got. Let me go to the top. Salute. Il gatto, salute to you too. Uh, Tommy Stinks, good evening from New Jersey. Salute, Camille. Okay, everybody's saying hello to each other. So, okay. So he's Tommy Stink answer me. Newark is Northern Jersey, where is IMIC in South Jersey Resort, the first to open, and Scaffle got all the concrete for the Pro War Casino. Boom. I don't know. Bruno was still alive then. I don't know. Was it Bruno still alive? Angelo Bruno, I'm talking about. I think I think I don't know if I don't know. I could be wrong, but I think Scaffo became strong after the bump of Angelo Bruno. What year was that? I don't recall but I think it had to be late 70s, 80. Carlo Gambino was still alive. So Angelo Bruno was still around. So I don't know. Anyway, I'm not gonna twist my brain. The only thing is I went to the Resort International. They were the first one to open, right, Tommy saying? And I think they opened late 79, early 80s, the first casino. So I think Scarfo didn't last long. Nicky Scarfo didn't last long. He maybe what is it last? I don't know. I don't even think it was 10 years it last because he was a crazy guy. He wanted to prove himself. Over there, Philadelphia, there was not too many. There was one family, so and Angelo Bruno had his hands full because he was from the old school. He was old, and he had to deal with these guys, all these American born, and that's what happens to all these guys. If you go back to Profaci, all those Sicilian guys. The American guys want to wipe them out. What was it, Joe Gallo went after Profaci. You know, because that's what happens. You get old, you make your money, you become powerful, and you get the young Turks want to take things over. And they don't want to bow and they want to follow. That's the way it was through history. So when you're young, you're hungry, you're strong, you you wipe out your competition, because you that's how you became what you became. But then You get older, you get age, the years pass by, the years catches up to you, and you become more mellow. You don't become that hungry anymore. So, and this is the older story too. You know, I mean, Paul Castellano got fat. Look, it became the White House he built. That's how powerful he was. So I mean, you could go on. When you're in that life, and there's only so many years you're gonna last. Especially if you want the power, if you want to be in control of the family. You know, that's why a lot of smart guys that take a few steps back and say, I'm gonna, step down, let the other guy, hungry guys, move up, let them take the chances, let them take the risk, and that's what I learned. Because when I got involved with the cocaine, and I wanted to make my money. I wanted to get back where I lost all this shit after getting shot, and I lost all my fortune. I wasn't gonna just become somebody by just being a chauffeur or picking up numbers for somebody or picking up action for somebody else. I wanted my own. I wanted everything that was mine. I didn't want nobody else's business. I wanted to create my business, and I couldn't do it in Queens. I couldn't do it in Brooklyn. You know, I couldn't do it in other boroughs. So that's why I went to the island after. But I got so much story to tell you that I just wanted to talk to you right now about the conflict that Carmine Galante had with Rossi Rastelli for the power position to take control of the family. And Kamagaletti had the heroin, and it was big money, and people wanted to go on his side. They didn't want to stay with Rossi Rastelli. What did he had? The only thing they were doing is giving money to Rossi Rastelli, from their business. So, and the heroin, they could give it to the people, distribute it, ship it out to New Jersey, whatever they want to go, to Manhattan, and everybody could make money. So, anyway, now we're going to go to say hello again. We got a. Okay, now we got what? Johnny. Okay, now we got Otavia. Hi, Otavia. Welcome. Uh, I listen. The joke is over, right? Thing. Okay. Hi, Otavia. Thank you for coming by, stopping by. I don't see too many likes over here. We need likes and subscribers. Okay. By the way, I I'm over 1,800. I'm gonna hit soon 1,900. Subscribers. I was shooting to hit 1,000 subscribers by the summer. We're still April. I'm going to hit 2,000 before the month of April is over. You hear me, haters? People that haters? My subscribers, I'm going to hit 2,000. And everybody said that wasn't going to happen. Nobody's going to listen to a Fugazi guy. I'm a Fugazi. Well, Escucho Messino, Salvatali if I was Fugazi. Or Tony Herschel. Or what is it called? Like Cantarella, Cantarella. There's a lot of people still around. I met a lot of guys from the Gambino. They're still around. They know Jack. They know me as Jack Camato, the Sicilian. You know, the crazy Sicilian. That's what some people call me behind my back. So anyway, so so we got okay. So Buonanotte, Giacomo. I love your story. BTY, they so jealous. Yes, they are jealous. I'm telling a true story, my story, with this top guys. I'm not talking about other guys, other events associated with this guy. I was with the top, with a boss, running around to do errands for him. So, but then things happen, which I'm going to talk about now. I think I'm going to start now. So, because there was so much jealousy going on, especially from Joe Messino. So, okay, so okay, Sting. Johnny Giacomo should come to Sting Social Club on Saturday. I like that. Oh, I like it too. All right. So let me see. Okay, I think I'm all caught up. Johnny Catalano. Okay. So anyway, in 1984, while I was getting so close with all these capos, captains, and I stood loyal to the Rastali. I didn't go on the side of Joe Messina because Joe Messina went on the side of Carmine Galante. And, Joe Messina didn't like that I was staying with Rastali. And, but I don't know. Joe Messina was playing both ends, I guess. I don't know. Because when Mario used to call upon him to do some things, he fucking ran you know what I mean, like when you call a dog comes to you, he was trained. He will run, and a lot of times I used to see that. I used to say, "But you don't like Marty. You say he's what do you call a gringo, whatever the fuck you call a bovalone. But yeah, when he calls you, you just run." He look at me. I don't do that for him. I do that for his brother. So what am I doing it for? Who am I doing it for? And I doing the same thing for his brother? Mari's nothing. Mari is not a boss. So, but you do it and you don't want me to do it. So that's how the conflict began between me and Joe because I didn't have no more real respect for him for the way he was acting, the way he was doing. So anyway, so 1 minute, we got Bill. Los Eskimos created this. Okay, 1 minute. I gotta pick this up 1 minute. Johnny says it's got the most of all boss position was done away with in America. That was Luciano. First move, do away with boss and Sicily, a completely different animal. Listen to me. Johnny, if you have three other bosses on your side, like Carlo Gambino had, Joe Bonanno had, you are really in position to have the vote in the commission from the five guys. If you got three votes out of the five, you got control of the commission. So if it was a title, no title, the the men who had the respect of the other bosses had the power. So you are considered like a, the top boss within the commission. People look up to you. People respect you. So even though it was banned because they give themselves that title, it doesn't mean that died out through the history and continue on. That's what even Joe Messino when he was the last guy uh, hanging out. And Cincinnati disappeared too. And excuse me, I'm going to take a sip of wine at my throat. Cheers. I drink water during the day. At night, when I have dinner, after dinner, I like to sip on the wine. If it's okay with you guys. I got cold that I'm a drunk. When I was young, bouncing around the clubs, I would have all kinds of liquor. Scotch, Remy Martin, shots, good shit, you know, drinks, uh, you know, and all kinds of drinks. I used to drink. I'm not supposed to drink because I'm going to tell you after. But anyway, so we had this became a part. So anyway, one day my lunch wagon, I went in the lunch wagon, and there was this opportunity to rob the cashier, bank cashier. They came in to rob the guy, and they did that because it was inside job from people that own the lunch wagons. Uh, they shot me twice, and I had, went to the emergency, Wyckoff Avenue, a great hospital, for things like that because there were very a lot of activities used to go on that Wyckoff Hospital at the time. I don't know if anybody knows about it, but there were good surgeons there. And the surgeon who operated on me was an Indian doctor, surgeon. He didn't even speak too good English either. So anyway, he saved my life. So so I was very grateful to him. So now there's this war going on, between Rusty and Galante. Rusty was in prison and Galante was out. So Galante was, know, soon after, they got rid of, they killed Don Pietro Legata in Knickerbocker. Well, he was living in Middle Village, right in front of the house. They waited for him, and they killed him. I went to the wake, nice family, and that happened. Then the other Licata brothers got killed. So there was a war going on, for the control of the heroin because they were starting to, the Sicilian guys were making, the rounds. So, and the younger brothers, because they were related, young young guys will go out, get in trouble with other guys, try to be tough guys. Everybody wanted to get a button. Everybody was trying to be a tough guy, and that's why a lot of people from the term right informers, they talk about that, what they did, how to do to make a point, to score points, and they would do anything. And I was not doing any of that. I was doing things for the families, collect the money for the boss, go to the social clubs where they own also nightclubs, bars, lounges. So with money, I would go there. And that's the way I was proving myself. And then when I was in the lunch wagon doing my business, I would get the football tickets from Tony Francese. He had the cigarettes. Uh, Anything was coming in, to pedal in the truck, I would do, the fireworks, all the goodies, selling clothes, but not from Joe Messino. Joe Messino, I don't want nobody to give me anything. But Trudy, he was my friend, and he would, he didn't care what Joe Messino said. You know what I mean? But Joe Messino makes sure that every time we would bump into with each other, Joe Messino would take Tony Francese, aside to take him away from me, because I used to meet him there in Maspet, and lunch wagon. That's where I used to bump into Tony. So, anything he could do to keep me away from, connecting with other people. But I didn't need to connect with nobody else because I was with the Rastelli. I was with the Bonanno crime family. I was associated. I was a main. I was like having a button, because I'm going with Marty all over the places. So I didn't have the button, but I carried the piece, and I drove him around. So being with the boss, members or even couples were going to respect me because I'm with the boss. So anyway, I got shot. So I almost lost my life. So I was out of commission. So I had 2 years to regroup. So now it's 1976. Don Pietro Legada gets killed in 1976 in Middle Village. A lot of killings are happening. Meanwhile, I'm getting back on my feet, and I was laid out. I talked to Marty, and Marty wanted to give me open up a business actually that pizzeria. And I said, I don't want to be bothered with that, because they had places, people owed them money, and they could have took it over for nothing, in Brooklyn. I said, I need time to regroup. I need time to get away. And I think I'm going to go work with my brother, construction. He goes, but why you got to go kill yourself? Why you got to be around people? The speeches. But I had my mind made up, but he goes, I wanted to stay away. I just got shot. I lost my life. Who's my friends? Who's my enemies? That's is going through my head. I was 21 years old. I don't want to get my father in the middle of a war because he freaked out, and he wanted answers who did it. And, they went to Joe Messino, and Delhi. So, I told my father, was a drug addicts guys came in and robbed, was people from the prison. Joe Messina had nothing to do with it. So in a way, I prevented a conflict, because of my father. I love my father, I don't want my father to get into fighting. I know he was mad at me because I chose to go to the lunch wag and work in the lunch wag. If I would have stood in the pizzeria, all this shit would have happened. I would never would have met the Rastellis. I would, you know what I mean? And I would just do my thing with the pizzerias. Yeah, John Messina would be related to me through marriage, but we wouldn't have no really association in regard to doing business. We would just be in-laws, and that would be it. But I went in the lunch wagon, and that's how I got hooked up with everybody and Rusty Rostali. I mean, the Rostali brothers. And so when I went to work construction, I had no money. I had nothing because I had a wife, I had a kid, and I lived in at the time in Lindenwood near off our beach. Then I moved to our beach, but anyway, at first I went to Lindenwood, and I would go to work construction, come home, and every night 6 o'clock, I would listen to the news, what's going on. I would buy the Post, I would buy the New York Times, see what's going on. I would go see Marty, you know, stay friends with Marty because I don't want to lose my relationship with Marty Vastelli because I felt he's the only one who could protect me, going further because I don't know who else to trust. I couldn't trust Joe Messino or Salvatali because they were in cahoots. So I would stay close to Rusty, Marty Vastelli. So I would go there, see him, he would talk to me, why you still got to work at construction. So I said, I'm going to do it for a little while. I'm going to do it for a little while. So, in 1977, the books were open and I was still, away from everybody. And they were making guys. Joe Messina got made, got his butt, and other guys too. So I missed out, and I felt out of it. I felt, what am I going to do now? Work in construction. So with that, you know, uh, winter came, and I would think about, the car games I used to have, behind the candy store, you know, picking up, bets, so maybe I could start something. So I passed it on that to Marty. I said, I would like to open up a coffee shop, on Myrtle Avenue, you know. And he goes, what do you need that attic for? This current's been. What do you need that for? There's so many places you go. Why you need to do that? I thought you don't want to be bothered. He gave me like a brochure, you know. And that's when I just say, nobody gives a fuck. Nobody cares. So I said, you know what? I'm going to get back with the Irish boys. They're not connected with nobody. And I'm going to do my things with the Irish boys. So with that, what happened? We still owned the pizzeria, the building, you know. Uh, so there was a guy who owned it. His name was Saccaruso. He was a Sicilian guy, and he got involved with the heroin, and he wanted to get out. And he told me, he goes, you want to take the place over, because I don't need it. So he gave me back the lease, which we owned the building. So, and I opened up in 1976 pizzeria called Amatos. It was the centennial celebration. Like 2026 is going to be 256 year. It was a 200-year celebration. So I had all the, I decorated the flags, everything, to do the grand opening, and I bought a van, and I put for deliveries. So and I was back in action as far as the pizzeria, my own. So and with that, a guy, Mimi Calabrese, he was from Corona. He came and came to the pizzeria and he said, "Oh, he used to play cards with me." And he says he's going to open up this candy store. I mean, this coffee shop up Glendale, across the street from Forest Park. He bought the building, and he was going to make to a coffee shop, and he wants to have a gamble in the back, like all the coffee shops do. So he wanted me to get involved with him, you know. I mean, the gambling would be after we close the pizzerias anyway, because the gambling doesn't start till late at night, late. So I took him in. Meanwhile, while I was on Myrtle Avenue, I got in touch with Joe Leach, which I met him from the Fritzi Giovanelli. I used to still give him the goods, from the Irish boys. So I wanted him, if he could help me build this gambling, underground gambling, and he didn't want nothing for it. He didn't give a shit because he was a Sherlock. So to him, putting his foot in the door, getting the goods from me, and be able to lend money out, it was a big thing. He was an old timer. He didn't need it. The guy was a millionaire. He just wanted to still, when you get old and you're in the 70s, 74, 75, you still want to be around kids, the newcomers. You want to participate. You want to have still something to say. What else is there to do? So that's why I'm telling my story. That's why I wrote my books. What else is there to do? So I'll continue. Let me see what's going on here. Gucci. Okay, Gucci's in. I didn't see him. What Mango? It means some girls said Mango, and also said his grandpa was Italiano, and he said like gravy with Angela pasta. I don't know. I missed out a lot of things here, but I don't know. Il gatto, it's a disgrazia. All the old times are gone. Yeah, the old times are gone. What do we got left? I don't know. Young guys that don't know much. They just want to do things. They want to steal, I guess. So I don't know. So anyway, so I started this. He called the Cafe del Sole. So the word got out. We ran a legitimate game. No car shocks because we never dealt with that. People came, and as weeks went by, months went by, things was starting to get better. I felt I was back in action. Uh, you know, Marty knew about it. He gave me the blessing. So nobody really bothered us. You know, only Joe Messino came by, wanted to see what's going on. Because now he's a May guy, and I'm related to him through marriage. So he wanted to see what he could squeeze me out of. But I told him this was just started out with playing. But then he seen, there, Joe Leach. He knew Joe Leach because you get to know people once you become main guy. So he knew that Joe Leach was there. So maybe Joe Leach had something to do, and Fritzi Giovanelli had something to do. So he backed off, and he didn't squeeze me. So that was a good thing. And now as time was on, uh, Joe Messino, something happened, and with the Russian Jews in Brooklyn by Coney Island. They had a card game going on. It was a legitimate. What was the name of the fucking neighborhood? Anyway, by Coney Island, and they had a card game, and they wanted to build it to the big what do you call tycoons, the heavy hitters, and he wanted to make a game, to build because they were getting shaken down by other families. The guy, he was a Russian Jew that ran the operation. He asked me to, if I could bring some people play there, guys that know how to play, not guys that don't know how to play, because those guys that they wanted to suck them in, to play, to cut the pots, because that's where you make your money. You cut the pot, like they do Atlantic City when you go play poker. They didn't have it then. But anyway, so he wanted guys that knew how to play cards and to keep the game going. And I said, sure, why not? You know what I mean? I figured, he said he was going to give me, at the time, 25% of the take, just for the table, not for the whole operation, just for the poker game. So I said, okay, so uh, the guys that they want to play poker, they were professional poker players. Like they make a living on the poker, you know, and it's good for the game. So I took them over there. Once they were there, I met James Tartaglione there for the first time. Now he was made two. He had his button, and they as time went on, they took from 25%. James Tartaglione goes, "Why are you getting 25%? The fuck? I'm not. I'm only getting 10%. Why are you getting 25%? You're not gonna get no 25%." So they cut me down to 10%. So I was so pissed off that I wasn't concentrated on the game anymore. Now you'll play with this tycoons, money guys. They don't care about losing $1,000, $2,000. That bad. That raise on the blind, and my luck changed. I couldn't win. So then I said, "What the fuck?" So anyway, I took a loan out from the house. The guy didn't want to give it to me. He says, "Your uncle told me not to give you a nut." I went fucking nuts. I said, "You what?" I said, I'm losing money. I'm over here making your game. You're going to give me fucking money? Because I don't want you to go crazy. I said, I'm going to go fucking crazy. I'm going to take the table and throw it upside down if you don't give me the money. Now, the Russian Jews, they were gamblers. They says, give them the fucking money. What are you, crazy? What are you talking about? Why shouldn't he get money? So I took the marker. I played. I lost because I couldn't concentrate. I fucking walked away. And, this is in my story, my book. And we had a conflict now. they wanted to collect the mark I took. And I wasn't willing to give no markup because I had money coming anyway. So James Tartaglione went fucking nuts or I'm gonna fucking do this, I'm gonna do that. I said, fucking do it. Do what you gotta do. He goes, if it was for your uncle, don't worry about my uncle. James Tartaglione was like 6'2". It was older than me too. I was in my late 20s now, 27, 25. So I said, do what you got to do. And then Joe laughed. Forget about it. Let's forget about it. All right? Let's squash it. It's over. That's it. You go your way, we go our way, and that's it. And that was it. Meantime, I kept this Cafe de Sol going. And then who walks in is Anthony Corazzo. And he started playing. They told me who he was. Joe Leach knew him. And, he's a good people. From East to New York. So as we played, we became friends. Anthony invited me to come to their place, their coffee shop, Cafe Numero Uno in New York, Fulton Street, off of Clemson Street. And there they had that was their turf. Little Jojo I met Nicky Corazzo, Lenny Di Maria, the crew they had, you know, um, 21 Arm. I don't know, I could go on and forth. There was a lot of guys. So let me see what we got here. I'm going to stop for a minute. They took everybody's talking to each other, okay, which is good. Solid out them as a week without even trying. You got the plays, best gig on there if you do the right. Andrew says Merrick Road C4. They're talking about social clubs, I guess. Okay. Giacomo Johnny Bill just passing through. I have a great weekend. Oh, this guy is saying that does OC72. Giacomo, Johnny, Monkuch, Bill just passing through. Have a great weekend. Likewise, pass through. Push like, subscribe. This way you could see when you see posts I'm coming out. James Louis Tatayon. That's right. Didn't he turn right? Yes. Yes, John. He turned right. Yes. Yes, he did. And yes. They all turned out right because, see, a lot of guys don't understand. Joe Messino fucked all his people. When they got incarcerated, like James Tataglione got incarcerated, he went to prison. And Joe Messino came out and he came home and he was taking over the family. He demoted even his brother-in-law, Salvatali. And James Tortoloni was in prison and he wasn't giving nothing to the wife. He was not giving any money. You understand? That's what Joe wasn't giving nobody nothing. People that were loyal to him, meant money for him and everything, when they got in trouble, he didn't give them nothing. He think he had it coming. That's part of that's the part of the history, all these bosses. They think that they don't have to give you nothing. You got to give them. That's when I started seeing the true colors, They don't give a fuck. They're only about themselves. So, yes, Lou Tatone is the one who turned red too. Yes. Okay. I don't think he was a good guy. I had a big beef with him. So it's in the story of my books. He was around a long time from the beginning, from the 70s. Like I said, 74. He was already around, and he made that he came from, actually, he was with the Ridgewood crew, the Genovese, because they told me, Joe Leach told me about James Louis Tortaglione. He says, we chased him out of here, and your uncle got him over there, you know. So it's a long story. Everybody bounce around, like everybody has a history of bounce around. I guess I bounce around in a way, but I didn't bounce around. I stood with the Rastelli from the moment I got the lunch wagon, and I stood loyal to Rastelli till he died in '91. I always stood there. He gave me the blessing to go and do my thing on my own. Nobody should bother me, and that's why I was able to do my business. So once once I left, the story's so long. I don't want to jump all over the place because then I'm chopping away. But anyway, I'm on Myrtle Avenue. I got my Amaro Pizzeria. I got Cafe del Sole, and I'm building up my gambling there. Then I went to New York. I still was in Glendale with my pizzeria, Amaro's, and I was making money. And I was making money with the Corazzo brothers. They show respect to me. We opened up, me and Blaze opened up a luncheonette to put the poker game in the back because the coffee shop was good for the baccarat because they used to do it in the year. But when you had a poker game, there were too many mouths to feed. And the guys, the owners of the coffee shop, they were Neapolitan too, immigrants. And they ran the coffee shop. They wanted a good chunk for playing cards in the back. And they would complain when they were, making not enough money because, they ran the coffee shops morning and night. They open up early in the morning because all the guys used to go there, all the construction guys. Yeah, before they go to work, they would get cappuccino, espresso, and they would make their own ice cream. So they worked hard, and they didn't want this card game in the back. They only wanted to do when it was the big baccarat because they could make a lot of money. So I told them, I said, maybe we open up a luncheonette, we put the card game over there. Would you get mad? No, 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 I don't care because they were making good money with the ice cream. So anyway, what do we got here? Somebody put a rat. Johnny Catalano, PW Rataglione, rat, yeah, Rataglione. Oh, yes, everybody turned, and later on, everybody became a rat. Anyway, so the feud, it was still going on between the Galante and Rusty. Now I'm over there in this New York. Okay, so this is in 1977, 1978. I'm away, being hanging out too much with Joe Messino. I wasn't hanging around no more. That much going around collecting money with Rusty Marty Rastelli. I was like more in East New York. So, and then in 1979, they killed Galante. the murder Galante. I was in East New York, and so Rusty took the family back. Some people said because the commission, they wanted them out. I don't know. I don't know the whole story. I just know that every time we used to talk about Joe Bonanno, with Don Pietro Legata at the house and mention Joe Bonanno, they will like talk highly of him. They didn't disrespected him. They didn't say anything bad about him. So in my head, I was assuming that he still control, had the respect, from Rusty and the old timers that they were still around. So at that time, during in the mid 70s, so and that's how I took it. So then, they killed Galante in 1979. That was a big shocker, you know, you know, and then, but the Sonny Black was involved in the hit. Sonny Red were involved on the hit. So they're all coming back, I guess, to Rusty. But they were going to take over the heroin due to Pari Catalano and Cesar Bonaventure. Because when I had Amaro Pizzeria on Myrtle Avenue, the Cesar Bonaventure came to my place. Pari Catalano owned the bakery at Metropolitan Avenue. I used to go there with Marty. And Baldo Amato came, and Anthony Aiello came because they own pizzerias. They wanted to, buy pizzerias, because they wanted to, bring in the heroin through the pizzeria. That's why they call it Pizza Connection. So I told them, they invited me to come to the coffee shop to gamble, and just to socialize it because I wanted to, I don't want to get involved with them because I months before because I was under suspicion. From the organized crime, they came and read in my pizzeria. They broke all the bags, the stories of my book, the flour, trying to find that there was heroin there because these guys came there. So there's a lot of shit going on. So I said, I'm under surveillance, so I can't be bothered. I can't, it's no good. So once they heard about that they came and what do you call this? Ransack my place. They don't want to be bothered with me. So we left in good term, and that was it. And then I was now in East New York. So from 1977 to 1980s, I was there. And we were running rape operation. We were making good money, with me, Blaze. And then John Messino got the win of it. And, now he's a skipper. He's no more just a make guy. Now he's a skipper. He's a captain. So, and, he was close to John Gotti. He met Nicky, Jojo, and everything, and let them know that I was related to him. So once they heard that, they told Blaze to tell me, we got to break up a relationship. And during the time I was there, I met this Colombia guy, and I got hooked up with cocaine, and I made new friends in the coffee shop. I spoke, I was from the Cosa Nostra, and those people in the coffee shop, that's all they know. They don't know about mafia. They don't know about the American guys. They spoke Italian. They that's what they come from uh, the whole country. So they got close to me. Some of them were young, their sons. So they became close. They had pizzerias. They were involved. Legitimate business. But they wanted to party, go to disco, go there. So they liked the cocaine. And they became my friends. And when I left there, that's what I left with. I left with my little clique that I created there. And, already had the ones in Glendale. So now I got the stuff that I could supply. Plus, we were taking the books, bookmaking and everything. So, I moved on. Now I got to get, I'm living in our beach. I got to get out of our beach. I can't stay there because, they're like the ice in the skies. They know every move you make. Somebody's going to give you up. Somebody's going to tell about you, either to the law or to, the past guys I was connected with. So, and they were going to be pretty good. They were not going to like it. So I started to move away. I started to branch out to Valley Stream, Nassau County, Franklin Square, Italian neighborhoods. And then I went going to Icksville. My friend Vito owned a pizzeria. So just to get away, started new things, open up card games and take action. And, there was so many discotheques in the island. Vito was a bouncer, so he had a connection in the disco. So everything fed in. So meantime, I'm not seeing too many people pushing like. Why? I don't know. Anyway, so that's what happened. Maybe it's Friday night. Everybody's out with the wives, with the girlfriends. So I don't know. So is anybody going to ask any question? What do we got here? Chaco, not party Qatar. Okay. So Johnny Catalano. Chaco, not Patty Catalano. You talking about my cousin Salvatore, the bakery, a metropolitan area. Yeah. But was we a different Bogota. What do you mean a different Bogota? He answered to Rusty. Party Catalano answered to Rusty. He was with the Sicilian branch, but he answered to Rusty. I know. I used to go with Marty at the bakery, and he used to pick up money. So Catalano, maybe you don't know the whole story. Your cousin, he had bakeries, right? So you don't know maybe the whole story. He was with a different Bogata. No, he was with the Bonanno on the Rusty. He was part of, that's how they knocked off um, Galante. He took over the position of Galante. Am I right? Okay, so they put that in the pizza. El Gato. They put the. I saw his wife a couple of years back with the. Okay, three no Yankees. Giacomo, hello, hello, Mickey. Mickey, okay, Mickey. Everybody likes. Yeah, Padre Catalano was with the Rostelli. He wasn't on his own. They were not going to last too long without Rusty, you know. And Joe Messina didn't go near him because yeah, like you say, maybe it was a different Bogata, but it was a Sicilian fiction. But they answered to Rusty, and he was a capo in the Bonanno crime family, Paddy Catalano, and he handled the Sicilian faction with Caesar Bonaventure, but then they killed Caesar Bonaventure, and Paddy moved up. So everybody went through the different thing. Paddy Catalano was with the Colombo Giacomo. My cousin Salvatore was the one that went away for 30 years for Pizza Connection. I don't know if he was with the Colombo. I was going there with Marty. We used to go see Paddy Catalano. So he bouncing around with two different, I don't know. But when they got busted with under the Bonanno flag. They didn't get busted on the Colombo. So I don't know. But like I said, I was going there with Marty Rostelli and picking up envelopes, actually cake boxes coming out of there. So I don't know. Was it with the Colombo? Who the hell knows? They do. There were lines with the Colombos, the Rostellis, Colombo and the Gambino. That's how the thing worked. So maybe it was both. I don't know. But okay, Mickey Jet says because I'm okay. So Mickey, I could make it faster, but that doesn't. Then I can read everything about everybody if they're asking me questions. That's why I got slow because I want to know what's going on. I want to know if something's asked to me, I don't want to miss out. So that's why I got it slow. You know what I'm saying? You want to go faster writing, I can't do it. And I don't have the experience of reading fast because I got to understand what I'm reading. You are talking about my cousin. I thought you have the name wrong. I don't know. Giacomo Pescio old pizzeria in Franklin Square the other night on Amstead Turnpike. Yeah. What happened to it? I don't know. A few people changed owners. I don't know where he's doing now. I heard the last one was a Greek place. I don't know. Mickey, they said they changed it into a Greek place, but that went out too, I heard. So I don't know what's there now. Do you know what's there now in Franklin Square, Mickey? being that you always go through there. Okay, so he's talking about Peso Pizzeria. Now it says Macho 616. Definitely not Giacomo. Maybe a different guy. Definitely not Giacomo. Maybe a different guy. I don't know. Mayochi, what you saying? Not Giacomo. Okay, maybe somebody said something. Okay, you are talking about my cousin Salvatore. You have the name wrong. Salvatore Catalano. They was Pari Catalano. I know now what you're talking about. Pari Catalano was with the Colombo. I told you I played cards with him. He moved away. I think he came to Florida years ago. Salvatore Catalano. Okay, so we're making a mistake here. Pari Catalano, yes, was with the Colombo. A big guy, was a good guy. I liked him. I tried to start a games with him. Off Fresh Row. He had a bar. They stopped me from doing business with him. But then Pari Catalano moved away to Florida, right? Johnny, Salvatore, and Agostino had the bakery. Salvatore and Agostino had the bakery. Patty was not related to us. You will have been my cousin in bakery. He never took a pinch with the pizza connection. Yes, well, like I said, there's two Catalano. One was with the pizza connection, and the other one was with the Colombo. And he retired. He went to Florida. Am I correct, Johnny? Am I correct? So maybe I'm making a mistake, but there's two Catalano. One was with the Colombo, and one was with the Pizza Connection. So the guy with the Pizza Connection was your cousin. That's what I would like to know. I don't know. Anyway, so now you got Jago. Maybe it's a different party. Maybe we are just thinking different. Mayocho. Are your cousin too? I don't understand. Mayocho. Maybe it's a different party. Maybe we are just talking different. Yeah, I know a party Catalano was with the Colombo, and he ran action. He had bars, and we were going to run poker games. And I think something came up, and he left, and he moved away, and I think he came to Florida. Okay, now it says Mickey, no problem. Keep the chat like it is, just so we can respond right away. Yes, it's a Greek place on the corner. Right. That's the last time I heard. I don't know. It was an Italian guy who bought it from me. He called it Il Cantone. Did you ever eat there? Il Cantone. He built it at Embryon, and then he didn't last long. But then I thought it was another place, and then the Greek took it over. So, but do you remember the place called Il Cantone? After, Amici was Il Cantone. Okay, Johnny Catalano said an answer. Yes, that's right, Jaco. There was only one party Catalano. You just had the name mixed up. That's all. Okay. Now, I'm asking you, the party Catalano it left Queens in the late 70s, early 80s. Did he leave Queens? Party Catalano, your cousin, with the Colombo. Did he leave? Okay, now let's see. Correct. My cousin's hour was the pizza connection. Correct. My cousin's album was Pizza Grenade and Fat Party was with the Columbus. Yes, because they all work together. That was the group, the Colombo, Gambino, and Bonanno. They were very close. I know. I was with them too. So now, so the other Patty Catalana I'm talking about, Johnny, did you know Patty Catalano, the guy I'm talking about? The left. All right, correct. Okay, then he says, yes, Johnny. So we got David Guinnessville. Yes, Johnny. Okay, yes, keep changing. Yes, they keep on changing. Well, I don't know. Hey, we're going to get more likes. Is anybody subscribing? Is anybody doing? I'm going to take a sip. My throat is itchy. Salud. Anyway, so the end of Galante. Galante died in 1979. They slaughtered him. They slaughtered him. They didn't just kill them. They slaughtered him. And they slaughtered the people that were close to him. You know? So that's that's how people end up. You want to be a gangster, you want to be a killer, and that's what happened. Now, how many people were really involved in killing Galante? There was a lot of people involved. There were people from Sicily involved. There were Americans, and there were people from Canada. You know, there were people because they had to put their 2 cents in. They say 3 guys went in, but how many guys were inside the place too? Cesare Bonaventure, Baldamato were there too. So I mean, I think there had to be a lot of people for trafficking, lookouts. There was a lot of people involved. You know, was Joe Messino involved too on the hit? It had to be because you don't become a captain without getting involved. Sonny Black was it involved in uh, Galante hit? Most likely. I mean, there had to be guys that became, under Rusty Rastelli. I mean, if that makes sense. How they became the big captains over the other captains. They had to they had to participate, you know. So the only person they got it, they say, was Bruno Delicato. And that was it. I mean, Bruno Delicato kept his mouth shut. He went to prison for it, and I think he's out now, right? He's in the streets. He's still around. So, but where's everybody now? Okay, so my cousin was out with the Bonanno. Patty was not involved with my cousin. Yes, no relation. I didn't meet Fat Patty to maybe 3 times. He was in Brooklyn. That I know. Or possibly he could have had a Florida place. I don't know. Okay. Giacomo, did you know the Papadio brothers? Papadio brothers. The name doesn't ring a bell. Okay, now it says, excuse me, I have to make a call. Okay, we excuse you. Go make your call. Gucci. Catalano, Bruno Delicato is home. Yes. Yes, he's around. I don't know what he's doing these days, but he's around now. Uh, I don't know. Bruno Delegato kept his mouth shut. He was not the only one, involved in the hit. So okay, so he got the blame, but did he was involved? I don't know. Nobody really knows, but he went to prison for it. So we don't know. Anyway, then you got Don Jaco. Have a great weekend. Bless always. Catalano. Bless always. God bless all. Likewise. Salute. I'm taking a sip. Anyway, so now we are. Galante's dead. Joe Messino became a capo. Um, Sonny Black became a capo. I think he became more than a capo. He became underboss for Rusty Rastelli. So Joe Messino became a capo. But I think Sonny Black became underboss. And now you had Sonny Black and Delicato. And you had Giancone, with Tranchina, the captain. They got together. And now they felt they got an answer to Sonny Black, and Rusty was still in prison, and they were gonna make a move. And plus, I think if I'm believe, Cesare Bonaventure was hooked up with them, with Sonny Red and Delicato, if I'm correct, and they wanted to take over. Because if you've done it before, Chester Bonaventure felt he had it coming. He just got rid of what do you call Carmine Lilo Galante, and now he had the goods from Sicily import to America. So was he aligned to with the Gambino brothers? What do you call them? The gang hill? What'd you call them last time, Johnny? The Hill Gang? The Hill Gang? The Hill Bang Gang? Well, what was that called? The Gambino brothers, related cousin to the old man, Carlo Gambino. So, everybody was making move. Okay, so correction. Cesar was with Sonny Red at first. Okay, see, they all making moves going here, there. So nobody's knowing exactly who's who, who's what, what's going on, backstabbing, cutthroats, and that's what their life is about. So you're very what do you call it, familiar with the cases. So Johnny, so so far, do you find me um, credible or incredible? What I've been saying. I just want an answer. Am I credible? What I've been saying? So that's where we move forward. Mickey, the message retrieve. Okay, so it is slow, huh? Maybe I got to put it a little faster. Next time I'm gonna go to 40, or maybe I should go 30. What do you think I should do? I should try it because I like to see. Maybe too slow for some people. Maybe people want to come in and make conversation too. Oh, thank you, Johnny. I appreciate that. Okay, correct. Was it Sonny Renner first? Okay, I don't find you describe. I believe you know what you're talking about. I was there. I was there all along with the Rostellis, and I met a lot of the people. Who's who, who's what, I don't know. I met, Tony Anthony Aiello too. He was a big earner in the pizza business, and Cesare Bonaventure, Baldo Amato. I met all those guys. I didn't do no dealings with them, but I was dealing with Rusty. I mean, Marty Rastali. I was going to all the top places and all the big guys. So I met Padre Catalano, so Padre Salvatore Catalano. Okay, Salvatore Catalano. I keep, I keep on saying Padre Catalano. I don't know. Maybe it's easier for me. Anyway, so now it says okay. So now we got I don't find the describe. I know what you're talking about. Jaco, be right back. I have to put a bet in. You got to put a bet in. It's too late. Who you gonna put it with? Unless you go to the casino, the bookies. On my time, we used to close. We used to take the action till the 7:30. That's it. 6 to 7:30. We used to close the book. No more action. Now you gotta you could bet with the casinos, everything. Anyway, it's different times. You could bet anytime you want now. Okay. Johnny Catalan. I mix names up myself all the time. For me, after all those years, meeting hundreds of guys, it's hard to remember everything. So I can understand making mistakes, unlike some folks. Hello. Yes, I know what I'm talking about because I mentioned people that I was direct in communication with that I did. I don't know what behind the closed doors, what they did or what they do. I don't know. But like I didn't expect, the war broke out. I mean, between um, in Delicato, Red in Delicato, and Sonny Black, with Rusty, because I was going to their places. So, if you look, did it get along? Then I'm going, bullshit. I used to go there with Marty. We used to go bouncing all in Brooklyn, all the places, a lot of places I didn't even know. And then go to Manhattan from Williamsburg Bridge. We used to go to Manhattan. So I was making rounds. I didn't even know. So, but I went, I met Sonny Red in Delicato. I met all the other captains that we're talking about. Gianchina, whatever, Chekina, Jacalone, whatever. I met them, then talked to them, and Marty was there, did his thing, and then we left. Have a drink, because a lot of these guys have their own club, social club. They had their own bars. So I met them. But what they did behind closed door, I don't know. The only thing I know what I did. That's why I wrote stories about me, what I did, and the relationship I had with them. So, so tonight was about talking about the conflict between uh, Rusty Rastali and Carmine Lilo Galante. Galante is dead now. It's gone. So now, the next time we're going to talk about, Sonny Black and the three couples, the relationship. The relationship, what I seen, it was good. it was not bad. But see, Johnny says Giacomo, Trichera, and Delicato. Yeah, and what about the other guy? Giacone. Okay, yeah. Giacone. I thought it said Giacomo. Okay. Giacone, Tranquina, and Delicato. Yes. They didn't hang out always together. They were three couples that were trying to make a move to take over the Bonanno crime family. So, like you say, Cesare Bonaventure was with them first. And that's the I don't understand that because isn't Jason Bonaventure was with the Carmine Lilo Galante, so that's what I thought he was with. So another guy got hit there too. I think I ran out the back. Don't remember much about that. Three couples dead deal. Three couple deal. Another guy. Okay, so Johnny's saying another guy got hit there too, I think, or ran out of the back. I don't remember much about that three couples deal. I don't know. Somebody got shot in the leg. There was few people got hurt. There was there wasn't not just three guys going in there. There was guys on the lookout. There was guys blocking the streets. There was a lot of people involved. So now John Messino became a couple from the killing, um, and Sonny Black became, I think, underboss. Was Silverstelli. He promoted him, because he needed Sonny Black. Sonny Black was the only guy really could trust. So, and then the infiltration of Donnie Brasco. I was out. I was out. I was in East New York, so I was not involved with them anymore. I was not going with Marty, but I don't understand how Joe Messino was not implicated with Donnie Brasco. I know he was on the lam. He went on the lam. He was on the lam for a year, 2 years. But Donnie Brasco was infiltrated 5 years or 6 years. Infiltrated. And there's no fucking way that he didn't get to see Messina. There's no way because they had to be running business together. Unless Joe Messina was already in cahoots with the feds, which nobody will ever know. Look at Scarpa. Scarpa was in cahoots with the feds for 35 years, right? From the Colombo. So, I mean, these American guys, they're not people from the Cosa Nostra. They're trying to save their ass. So why was not Joe Messino implicated in anything that the Bonanno? Because testify, Danny Brasco testified against a lot of people in the Bonanno crime family. How the fuck are you going to testify against Joe Messino being involved on the hits? So was they cover him? So I don't know. Why wouldn't Joe Messino be in the midst of all the guys who got busted? With the infiltration of Donnie Brasco. That's a good question. Who's going to answer it? Donnie Brasco himself could answer it. Is he going to answer it? Who knows? He's doing okay right now. He wrote books, he made movie, and he's doing podcasts too. So, I don't know. He's still, active. Okay, so now we say Catalano said another guy got hit there too. I think okay, they didn't have enough solid info on Messino in the Brasco case. He was identified as I believe, by a decay. They didn't have enough solid info on Messino in the Brasco case. He was identified as a belief. They had to do some kind of action, some kind of activities. Donnie Brasco put a lot of people away. Why was not Joe Messino the right hand guy that was supposed to be with Sonny Black doing criminal enterprise? And, I mean, it could have been bookmaking, Sherlock, and numbers. You mean they didn't do no business? Does that make sense? They had to do some kind of business. Even money, Sherlock kind of things, shakedown, extortion, union. It did go away for union things, no? Okay, now we get into a conversation. Messino didn't trust Maxwell. That saved Messino. Messino didn't fucking trust nobody, Johnny. Messino didn't trust nobody, but when he had to bow his ass and kiss ass, he would do it. So he wasn't that fucking smart to stay away from Donnie Brasco. That's one thing I don't understand. Now, in the movie, in the story, Donnie Brasco, he didn't put Joe Messino on the killing of the three capos, the three captains. The story was about that Sonny Black was involved and his crews were on the hit of the three capos. That's why Sonny Black became on the boss, because he did the execution on the three capos. Now, later, in 2005, all this shit came out. There was Joe Messino, Salvatali, all this came out. But when Donnie Brasco came out from being undercover, Joe Messino had nothing to do with the three killings. Supposedly, right? The movie, too. Donnie Brasco movie doesn't talk about. They mentioned there was Sonny Black, right? So when he was going to trial, I had conversation with Joe Messino, you know, uh, before we go. So when he was worried, actually before he got arrested, I said, you had nothing to do with the killing, right? I mean, Donnie Brasco said in his movie, it's in a memoir, that it was Sonny Black who was involved. So, but then everything changed when they went to trial. They made a confession. But is that a true confession or it's all bullshit? I don't know. A lot of shit goes on, so nobody really knows. But based on what I seen, what I heard, Joe Messina was not involved in Donnie Brasco statements. Joe Messina was not involved in the killing. But then in 2005, everything came out. There was Joe Messina, 2003, you know? And then, uh, what's his name? Vito Rizzuto got indicted too for that. So who the fuck knows? Was he telling the truth, Messino? Was Salvatore telling the truth? Or they were singing a serenade that was told to sing? Okay. So now Edwin says Catalano trinchera in Spanish means pit hole. Okay. Okay. So now we got, listen, I won't doubt if Messina was playing both sides. The fence. He was the most treacherous son of a bitch out there. You bet your fucking ass. Don't be surprised that even the three killings, he had nothing to do with it. You know, and they give him the fucking lead. Who the fuck knows? You know, the FBI got you under their thumb. They control you. You're gonna do what they tell you, and you're gonna do it how they tell you. So you don't know. But what I'm saying, based on the movie, the Donnie Brasco and the book, Donnie Brasco, they never mentioned Salvatore or Joe Messino had anything to do with the killing of the three capos. Am I right or I'm fucking fascinating things? So that's why I think Joe Messino was very dirty from way back. That's why he was able to stay clear. But he had to do time too to keep him undercover. When he went to jail in 1986, and then he got early release after got put away. Anthony Spiro ended up going to jail for life. So a lot of guys were going down, going down. I couldn't understand too. Then I said, why is everybody's getting picked up, but not Salvatore and Joe Messina? Why they're not getting picked up? And that's when it happened, right? Everybody got messed up. They all turned on him because maybe they felt that Joe Messina betrayed everybody. So now they betrayed him. And now what they're gonna do? They couldn't keep it on the lid that Joe Messina was a rat all along. So they had to make a deals. That's my opinion. And I think I'm good at that. Messina didn't trust Foxwell. Listen, I won't, okay. And then it said, it was a little bee Messina left alone. It was a busy little bee. Yeah, he was a busy little bee. Anyway, so let me talk before we leave because it's 2 hours and my cold is coming back a little bit. Um, should I make it next time a little faster? Mickey, Edwin, make a little faster. In other words, the talk instead of slow talk, make it faster. I think I'm going to try that. So what should I keep it? Right now I got a minute. Should I keep it? Go half? We go half? 30 seconds? Would that be good? I need advice. I always look for advice because I'm new. I'm trying. I hope I did a good show tonight. I hope. So 30 seconds. Catalano. Okay. So you think 30 seconds is good? I will do 30 seconds next time. We'll see. Maybe it would help everybody, stay with the conversation. Maybe it's too long. Or maybe it should go shorter. Johnny, or 30 seconds is good? Johnny, you're the main guy here. We got to have a live podcast. Got to put you in the show. We got to talk face to face. Will you think you would do that? Johnny, don't slow the shot down at all. Mickey says, fast chat is better from algorithm. Just set the chat to describe only. Okay, wait. I need to understand this. Don't slow the chat down at all. Fast chat is better for the, I don't understand that word, what it means, algorithm. Just set the chat to subscribers only. Oh, okay. How's that sound, Johnny? I don't know. What is an algorithm means? Haters? Is that what it means? Instigators? Troublemakers? So subscribers only. Okay, what we got? That works. What do you mean? Johnny, you talking about that works? 30 seconds or what Mickey's saying? Johnny, I'm gonna have a sip. Cheers. I gotta finish the wine. Anyway, what works, Johnny? What works, Johnny? And what is the word algorithm? See, right now I'm waiting because the 60-second, I guess, to get a response. So subscribers. So I gotta see what. I'm learning. I'm learning. So I don't know, subscribers. I want people to come in too. I think you're doing fine. But Mickey's into something. He knows more about this stuff than me. Okay, so tell me, Mickey, what is the word algorithm? Algorithm. Am I pronouncing it right? And what do you mean just subscribers? Right now, what I got right now is just friends. I don't even got the subscribers. I got a lot of subscribers. Why they not making comments? I see the same people I've been seeing. So I gotta. I guess I'm doing something wrong to get other people on board. I don't know. 60 seconds. Subscribe. All right. So what I'm gonna do is go to 30 seconds. Next one. And then, okay, let's see what Mickey says. Auto means YouTube is will recommend you channel more. Okay. Algorithm means YouTube is will recommend you channel more. Subs only will keep the asshole out. Okay. If they want to come in, they have to subscribe. Okay. So, Mickey. Okay. So now I'm also, doing the promotion. I'm spending money to promote my YouTube, my books. It's costing me money. So how do I get restitution from that? Being that you're giving me advice, what should I do? Mickey means you do this. I gotta write this down. So when I look it up, I will. Means Go chat more. Subs only. Subs only. Okay, we keep this all out. If they want to come in, they have to subscribe. Okay, so all gonna means. So when I go to when I posted to my show's gonna come on, I gotta look at the list and then pick algorithm. That's what I gotta pick and subscribe only. That's what I gotta click on. Okay. All right. I'm waiting for an answer. Yeah, maybe he's right. 60 seconds too long. So we got 10 minutes, okay. All right, so I guess I'm waiting for Mickey to respond, and then I'm gonna say goodnight and have a great weekend and enjoy Saturday, Sunday, whatever you enjoy doing. Okay, so I will see you on Monday night. So Mickey, 60-second passed by already. So it should have been an answer. Okay, so I'm gonna say goodnight. I'll see you Monday and have a great weekend. Till next time. Buonanotte. Johnny, Mickey, Edwin. Okay, what does it say? Don't slow. Okay, don't slow the chat down at all. You don't have that many people in here that you have to slow the chat down. Just set it for subscribers only. That's it. Okay, subscribers only. So no algorithm doesn't exist. So subscribe only. Okay, that's what I'm gonna do. And leave the chat the way it is. Have a great weekend yourself, Giacomo, Miki, anyone that watching. Buonanotte. To everybody, Edwin, Mickey, Johnny, we're going to say to Ottavia. We got to say that Carmela went to walk her dogs. So we're going to say goodnight until Monday night. We'll do it again. We're going to talk again. Thank you. Enjoy.